Orange Historical Society, through the Hulley Fund, the ladies that come to show you items that people had in their homes a long time ago.
My name is Mrs. Reinhardt, but in the 18th century, Mrs. was not used for identifying who we were. The name we were using was Good One. We are here, as Mrs. LaFrance said, to bring you back to the history of Orange. And your little town actually started in 1639 in another town nearby. Do you have any idea what town that's nearby might have been where Orange people started? Milford, very good. And eventually, Milford people decided that they wanted to move out further and have a bigger farm and more area. So they came to this portion of Milford and called it North Milford. So we went from Milford, North Milford, Bryan's Farms, and then we became Orange. We have cooking, lighting, and heat. Now, who can tell me what type of heat we had in the colonial fireplace? That was it, the fireplace. This is the heat from the early colonial days, and it's a foot warmer. And there's a little pan in here that would have coals. And you know when you have a summertime fire, you have coals at the bottom of from the ground. Well, this would go in the pan, heat this whole box, and they would put that on the floor of the wagon to stay warm, and then they'd bring it into church as well. Comes from. Yes. Oh, okay. Yes, we are. Now we have to make our food a big spoon and a big ladle. Now the question would be, why so big? The pots would be hanging inside the fireplace, and you'd have to reach. You don't want to go into the fireplace. All the food would be chopped with this one chopper. And you know who used to do that work? It was the girls. And here's a little tiny pot. It's a custard pot. It's called redware because it's reddish. Okay? And you can find a container for salt. This was a good idea, Sydney, but this happens to be sugar. No, this one. This one is a salt cellar, or a master salt. And the salt would be put in this container on the table. Salt was very hard to come by. It was nothing they could buy. And I'm wondering who knows where you would get salt from in the early days. Think about living in Milford. This is a nutmeg grater. We're showing you that cooking was not easy, and it wasn't easy to go to the store to get the spices you needed. This is an item that was used. And I'm wondering who can tell me what would have been put in here. I can pour it out. See, the water's there, but it's inside the second section. What is this? I'll tell you quickly. It's a candle mold. The reason they had candles is because they didn't have, what was it I said they didn't have before? Plugs. What's a plug? Electricity. It would take a long time to make candles, so they wanted to keep them safe. Before candles, they used that same oil that I told you about, the animal fat, in a little lighting device like that, which is not very well, doesn't give much light. Well, basically, the clothes would have been made by hand with a needle, and needles were very expensive. And the only time you could buy needles was January 1st. So you would save your pennies, and on January 1st you could buy a needle. The times that we are coming, Goodwife Clark and Goodwife Badley and I will be coming to make butter with you, and as I said before, we're going to use a churn. And we'll bring these back, but now I'm certainly going to ask you next time if you recognize them. These are butter molds. This is a butter mold, and this is a butter stamp. And butter was, again, a very rare item because they had to use the milk for drinking, and they used the cream, of course, to make the butter. And somewhere along the line, some dad or grandfather thought how nice it would be to have the butter look pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.